Ready to go.
You and me, a dream team.
Very good choice, my friend. Let's go for the title defense.
Welcome to the 9th round of the DTM here in Zandvoort, the second last race of the season. Actually, 6 times in the past of the DTM since 2000, the Drivers' Championship was decided before the final. And next to me, it's a one man who has it all in his hands. It's Mike Rockenfeller. Mike, great to see you. And actually, you are 33 points ahead of Augusto Farfus. But today, you're starting in the grid position next to each other. So that means a lot of spice for the race. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we will see if there's spice or not, but for sure the grid is great for the fans. You know, I try my best to fight with Augusto and fight for a race victory. That's the goal for sure. It's a great track, great weather, a lot of people here in Zandvoort, so it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, like I said, we are hoping for a good race for us.
And we are really looking forward to an enjoyable race, actually, with this special atmosphere here in Zandvoort. Now it's time for our great commentators. For you, Mike, a lot of fun, and for you guys, also the same. It's up to you.
Thanks very much, Eve. Andrew Marrett here alongside Ben Constanduras, and Ben is going to take us around this historic racetrack of Zandvoort, the circuit in the dunes.
4.3 kilometres in length, slightly longer than the original Grand Prix track that was raced on until 1945. Tarzanbosch, the first hairpin though, exactly the same. A lot of banking through here. You can overtake round the outside as well as down the inside, and then a bit more single file through round the back of the paddock through Gerlenbosch, that tight right-hander, and then John Hugenholzboch, the designer of the circuit, the very, very tight hairpin that goes uphill and then heads out into the dunes. Rob Slotmaker, another well-known Dutchman, and that left turn in his, this is absolutely flat out as they plunge down the hill into Stedlag. And this corner, just a blend off the throttle, but not a change down. Now we brake and go off the old circuit and onto the new, through Mastersboch. And then Renault is a little bit tighter, turn 7. These two turns, very, very wide. Place your car in all sorts of different places and lots of dust as well. Turn 8 is Vodafone Boch. And now back over the hill and plunging down towards the paddock once again. The Audi chicane, a great place to overtake. It opens out on the exit, the camera pushes you wide as well. And then the 2 final turns that have caused so much headache this weekend. Kumo Boch, and then the flat-out Ari Lindijk Boch over the start and finishing line. And that is a frantic lap of the Zandvoort circuit. 4.3 kilometers in length, 44 laps.
For today, I've chosen a really special interview place. It's a cozy beach chair, and with me it's Augusto Farfus. Good to see you again. So, yeah, welcome to this exciting race this weekend here in Zandvoort. You're the only left rival in the battle for the championship. With your second win in Oschersleben, you're in a good position, but actually, how strong do you believe you really can turn around the championship this weekend?
Well, I think looking from qualifying from yesterday, it looks okay. I mean, we start in P2. Of course, Mike is just on my neck. Would be difficult. I mean, he has shown a very strong races during the season, but I think at the end I have to try to do my very best, and that's what I always have been doing since the beginning of the year, to try to enjoy every race, to try to do everything at the very best. and then we see. I cannot influence the result from the people which are surrounding me. I can just influence my own result. So that's why I really want to do my best. And then tonight we will see.
Actually, I have to mention there's a big gap to Mike Rockenfeller. He's 33 points ahead of you. So actually not everything is in your hands. You need a lot of support from your teammates. What can you expect from Marco Wittmann, who saved his first pole position yesterday?
Wow. I don't expect anything from anyone. I just want to do my race, because I've learned in motorsport is sometimes very difficult to plan up front what to do and what not to do. So I want to get a good race, to push myself to the limit and go home with a feeling that I did my very best.
I wish you all the best. For sure it's going to be a hot battle. And now it's race time.
It's race time. We check out this virtual starting grid. As we heard, Wittmann on his first ever pole, the young man. Farfus alongside him, 2 BMWs in on row 1. Then right, Rockenfeller in the pound seats, really, in the championship. Alongside him, good to see Timo Scheider back in the speed. Row 3, Joey Hand, great qualifying from the Californian. Felipe Albuquerque seems to be having a very good second half of the season. Then it's Eduardo Mortara and Timo Glock, who seem to have a good setup yesterday, starts in 8th place. No Mercedes yet, remember. Adrian Tambay is in 9th, and then Miguel Molina. He will start in 10th. Going back to 11th and 12th, the former champion Matthias Ekstrom and another former champion and 3 times winner here, Gary Paffett, the best of Mercedes. Dirk Werner starts in 13th, and alongside him Pascal Wehrlein, the young Mercedes driver. Then it's Andy Priaulx, he qualified 15th, and Christian Vittorius, who was in the championship chase until the previous round. He's starting back there in 16th. Jamie Green is in 17th. Bruno Spengler, the reigning champion, is right back in 18th. Just didn't have the setup that worked for him. Martin Chomchik, 19th. Junkadella is 20th. And then the back row of the grid, Robert Wickens, a winner this season, and Roberto Merri, showing how difficult Mercedes are finding this Zandvoort challenge. Eve.
Marco, you are the man of the day, and actually it's your first pole position, so you're starting on prime tires. Why? What is the tactic?
I think this year we saw a lot of different strategies. We try also different strategies than the others. I hope it can pay off. I'm looking forward to the race, try to do a good start, and then we will see where we end up.
Okay, wish you all the best. Have a fantastic view for the first turns, and back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks very much. And the majority of people are running on the prime, the standard tyre. I think we've just got 6 starting on the option. And here at Zandvoort, we are not expecting the options to last as long as they have at a lot of the other circuits, Ben.
And surely that is a clue as to what the intention of the BMW Team M-Tech car is, and that is to stay out as far and as long as possible and try and allow Augusto Farfus to get a little bit of a gap at the front of the field, and hopefully Farfus will get a good start. He is starting on the dirty side of the track, on the inside, and we've seen all weekend from all the support categories, it's not a good place to be.
Now, as you would expect, we've been doing some number crunching and working out the possibilities, and we said that Rocky is in the pound seats. He certainly is, and if he wins the race, of course, he is the champion. There's a lot of other combinations as well, and Ben has a list of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if Rockenfeller wins or finishes second, then he is champion. In fact, if he finishes ahead of Augusto Farfus at all, then he will become champion here in Zandvoort. But if Farfus wins and Mike is in 3rd spot, the championship stays alive. And 2nd, and Rocky in 4th. Farfus in 3rd, finishes in 6th for Rocky. Farfus in 4th, Rocky in 7th. Plenty of permutations, but effectively we expect Augusto Farfus to be incredibly strong. See how long these option tyres last. He is starting on the option with Mike Rockenfeller. We don't expect to see them go any longer than about 10 laps.
Interesting to see if Mercedes can make any progress. No cars in the top 10. So everything to play for yet here at Zandvoort, the circuit in the sand. And everyone getting ready for the race. So looking down on this former Grand Prix circuit, which is hosted over 30 Formula One races in the past. Another look at the starting grid showing who is on the option, and that's the yellow tyre there. Whitman and Farfus, BMW looking so good here. Rockenfeller and Scheider going all the way down. Jamie Green struggling a bit in 17th position. And right back to Roberto Murray. What about Robert Wickens, who was so fast only 2 or 3 races ago? Robert way down at the back of the grid for the second race running.
Interestingly, not a single Mercedes is starting on the option tyre. Of course, Gary Paffett, the fastest Mercedes, up there in 12th position, but none of them will have the option tyre, and therefore there'll be no data for Mercedes to work on throughout the first progress of the laps and the first start of the race. They're going to have to look at how Audi and BMW are performing on those option tyres to work out what they should do.
Yeah, it's strange that they haven't taken one of the 6 cars and tried the alternative strategy. Timo Scheider there as the girls come off the grid, but Eve is down there with the DTM boss of Audi. It's, of course, Dieter Gas.
Mr. Gas, actually 7 Audi in the top 11. What a fantastic, great performance. Congratulations. But actually today in the race, please tell me, because we are not using here the DRS, what is the precise reason for that? Is it due to safety?
Yeah, it's for safety reasons. I think other championships where DRS is used, this decision has been taken on tracks where it was considered unsafe. So I think it's the same for everybody. We have to get on with it. And I can understand that this decision has been taken, given the experience that DTM has here in Zandvoort in particular.
Okay, actually we are not racing in Zandvoort. It's also a reason for the safety stuff next season.
No, why? That doesn't have anything to do with next season, I would say. But still, I think there has been a bad accident here, luckily with not too bad consequences. And I think you don't want to just take the risk to have another one like that.
Okay, thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks. And Eve was referring there to the calendar for next season, which hasn't been published yet, but there is a big rumour that Zandvoort will not be on it, and I think that's where the question came from.
Yeah, nothing to do with safety, though, as Dieter Gas said, more down to the fact that the contract is up.
Rockenfeller on 124, Farfus on the 91, Vittoris in 3rd place, 71 Wickens on the 70, Spengler 67. Everything to play for 3rd place in the championship. But now Eve is with another team boss. It's BMW's Jens Marquardt.
For the 3rd time we are seeing 2 BMW in the front row, but I think especially for the final in Hockenheim, the goal is today to postpone the final decision to Hockenheim, isn't it?
Absolutely. For us, that's the main target. Yeah, Augusto in 2nd is in a very good position. He's still in the hunt of the championship on driver's side, and with Marco next to him, I think it's a good starting point. But we all know it's only the starting point. So it's going to be a tight and interesting race. But I think it's going to be really a pleasure for everybody to watch, and I will enjoy as well.
So we do. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
And it's a pleasure to be here in a very sunny autumn day at the seaside.
Been a fantastic weekend overall. Not a cloud in the sky all 3 days, a gentle breeze and lovely temperatures.
When we came this morning, Ben, for the first Porsche race, it was 9 degrees. It's now raised up to 16 and the track temperature is just about 20. Bit of a breeze here, as you'd expect at the seaside. It's Moser then, the man who has masterminded Phoenix Racing for very many years and maybe can take his 2nd championship in the space of 3 years, right here today. As we look into the headlight of the BMW M3, purebred racing cars, the carbon fibre centre monocoque. Farfus there, the Brazilian, gets ready.
Taking some big, deep breaths before he gets those belts incredibly tight, almost so you can't breathe. The seat belts need to be that tight. And then as the G-forces take effect on your body, suddenly your lungs have space to inflate again.
Yeah. And it is a big charge down into that first Tarzan corner. It is very wide, it is very banked, but on the outside there's not much grip.
And it's also very bumpy on the braking zone, and one of the reasons why you need to be so tight in the seat, especially here, is that you don't want to be bouncing around inside the car. So strap yourself to the car so tightly that you are effectively one, and therefore the bumps will be a little bit kinder in this hour and 15 maximum race.
Dr. Ulrich just saw a shot of him, obviously buoyed by the success of the Audi prototypes last weekend, the Circuit of Americas, where we had a win for Loic Duval, Tom Christensen and Alan McNish. In quite a tight battle with the Toyota, in fact, with the second of the Audis in third place, so the Toyota splitting them there. And that WEC Championship still a little way to go yet.
Augusto just wincing a little bit as he drove through that first section of turns. You could see the sun getting into his eyes, and certainly in terms of body language, the man who looked a lot more comfortable yesterday in qualifying. He looked happy. He's been quite buoyant in the hospitality suites over the weekend, whereas Rockenfeller was certainly downcast in his interview straight after qualifying. Didn't feel like he had the car underneath him and felt like he really had to push very hard. And what you don't want to be doing is pushing very hard for 44 laps.
There you see the sand dunes. If you look to the end of the circuit, the Centre Parks holiday camp, which is there, where the old circuit went back in the days of the Grand Prix. Nice twin screen shot of the two title contenders.
It's a real shame that we don't have DRS here. It's slightly confusing as to why we're not doing it. We're talking about safety, but they were talking, Dieter Gas referring to Peter Dumbreck's accident a couple of years ago where he went through the final turn and hit the barrier.
Yeah, the Aaron Lyndike curve, that's where it went off. And that was a long time ago. Yeah.
I think nearly 10 years ago, in fact.
I think it was more than that even, Ben. It was a long time ago. It was a spectacular accident. Remember?
Different cars, completely different cars, and surely if it's too dangerous to use DRS, it's too dangerous overall, and it's not dangerous.
And Dumbreck crawled out of that one as he crawled out of that flying episode at Le Mans. Lucky man. And Peter still racing successfully. Nice to see that in prototypes. But on board here with Farfus.
Yeah, just coming through those two last corners that have really caught a lot of people out. The turn around Marshall Point to 19. So Kumo and Ari Lyndike, the last two corners, run a little bit wide over the curb, and that was what was really causing problems in qualifying. Being sucked over that curb and losing 2 seconds instantly, dirtying your tyres, and it does take quite a while to get them clean again.
8 Audis. 8 BMWs, 6 Mercedes-Benz this season. They may increase that to 8 again next year. We're hearing that rumour on the grapevine. And could be a few driver changes as well next season.
So just a reminder then, Marco Wittmann on the prime tyre, looking to go long. Augusto Farfus and Mike Rockenfeller on the options. Timo Scheider on the primes. And then Hand Albuquerque on the options. That is your top 6. So doing something with Timo Scheider as well, going long with his Audi.
Interesting to see how long the options actually go for on this abrasive circuit here in Holland.
Yeah, not only abrasive, but incredibly high loads, especially on the left-hand side of the car with some very fast turns. Shivlak is the fastest, and they've got a green flag at the back. We're ready to go racing.
Ready to go racing. We're charging these cars up. We're ready to start them the best we can off the handbrake and the clutch, all balanced up, and they're going to drop the clutches now, and off they go. And Rocky makes a good start, trying to find his way through the middle, but there's no gap to go, and it's Farfus down the inside.
How's he managed that down the inside? Incredible from the dirty side of the track, and Rockenfeller glued to his rear bumper. Marco Wittmann being very aggressive around the outside and still trying to stick. It's his role to get between the two, and he has managed to do it. Marco Wittmann, a very, very important and aggressive move there at the start.
Yeah, he had just enough speed, didn't he, to get in front of Rocky and cut across in front of him.
And Rocky knows exactly what the strategy is from BMW. He knows that Marco Wittmann is there to disturb his race. Rocky trying to get past, needs to try and get through because he knows that Farfus is just going to disappear off into the distance if he doesn't make this move. Yeah, I thought I saw that. That is Rockenfeller under investigation for a jump start. It was very, very tight.
And when they put that sign up, Ben, 9 times out of 10 there's a penalty coming.
So this could all be inconsequential then. Mike Rockenfeller all the way around the outside, going down the inside of Marco Wittmann. Did it pull off? Yes, it did. Great move from Mike Rockenfeller, incredibly aggressive, and he moves up to second spot. Already though, a good advantage for Augusto Farfus at the front of the field. Rockenfeller second, and Marco Wittmann dropped down to third position. But what about that jump start? Nearly 3 wide as Timo Glock attacks.
Just checking out the Mercedes, nothing much happening there. Verline in front of Paffett.
Pappet didn't make a good start at all. Started 12th, down to 15th now.
3 times winner here at this track.
Augusto Farfus with a 2.3 second lead after just one single lap. Whitman in 3rd, then Albuquerque, a good start in 4th position.
Hand in there in 5th, hung on to that 5th starting place.
Yeah, and Timo Schöller dropped to 6th position from 4th on the grid. So those two Audis swapped around. Now, of course, Albuquerque is on the option tyre. In theory, more grip and more speed on the option than on the prime.
Farfus, a stunning first lap then. Farfus is trying to take this to the final round at Hockenheim, no question of doubt about that. Rocky already pulled away in 2nd place, but is he going to serve a penalty? I suspect he will have to.
He was very, very far forward in his box anyway, as we see a change down in the mid-pack. And I just have a feeling that he dropped the clutch very, very close to when the lights went out, if not a little bit too much. A little bit too early. Albuquerque on the option tyre has more speed than Whitman, trying to go around the outside, trying to find some space, but there is no space. And here comes Joey Hand all the way around the outside of the second part of the chicane. Great move from Hand. Now can he follow Marco Whitman through? No, he can't. So not past Whitman yet. Hand sitting in the slipstream, but of course he is also on the option tyre and surely has more speed than Whitman at the start of this race.
Yeah, and of course battling there with Albuquerque as well.
Looking to the inside, Hand opens the door, shows his nose, but Whitman turns in.
Still no news from race control whether Rocky will get a penalty or not. They must be looking at it pretty carefully.
Well, we haven't seen a replay at the start yet on our screens, and also, race control tend to use that as a good reference too.
Glock having a good run up in 7th place, the former Marussia driver. Mortari in 8th, Molina 9th, Tambe 10th, XCOM down there in 11th.
And Roberto Merri, we can tell you, is in the pits. Not a very good weekend for Roberto Merri in the number 4 machine.
Not a good season for him, unfortunately. Former Spanish champion of Formula 3 in the past. 2nd year in the DTM, not been a good year.
32.4 for Farfus on the last lap, 33.0 for Rocky, and 35.1 for Whitman. So those prime tyres, those prime tyres that Marco Whitman has are not offering half as much speed as the options. And really, he needs to let Joey Hand go. See if Joey Hand can do something about Mike Rockenfeller ahead. And every moment that no further action, so Mike Rockenfeller's got away with it. I was just about to say.
Huge sigh of relief in the Phoenix Racing pit.
And every single lap that they hadn't made a decision, it was giving him more and more of a chance and less impact in the race.
And Ben, as I said, when you see that sign, normally they get a penalty. So, Rocky gets a get out of jail card there. Well, I must say, when we saw it, I didn't see any jump start.
It was a very, very good start, though. Fantastic reaction time.
Look at Mercedes really struggling around here. The Ice Watch car with the man who put it on the pole, Marco Whitman. As Ben says, maybe ought to let Joey Hand get by. He's on the softer rubber, the faster rubber. Yeah, how long will they last, though? That's the question mark. 2
seconds a lap slower than Farfus in the lead of the race. Rocky has managed to be within 0.3 of Rockenfeller on that last lap. It's still slower, so the gap is 3.2 seconds.
The pits are now open, so anybody wants to make a quick stop, as we've seen in recent races, and switch tyres, they can do it. But nearly everyone on the standards, most people on the standards, I think it's unlikely.
Just to be clear, at the moment, Augusto Farfus leading the race with Rockenfeller second. Rockenfeller will wrap up the title if it stays like that. So BMW need to use these two cars to get between Farfus and Rockenfeller. But Whitman at the moment doesn't have the pace on those primes. Joey Hand on the option maybe does. Timo Glock now coming into the mix as well. He is on the option tyre.
Here is that start. Watch the yellow car.
Oh, he goes a lot.
He did move, didn't he?
He goes a lot earlier than the rest.
Was that just great anticipation then? We didn't see it with the lights.
Such a risk. Look at this. Marco Whitman so aggressive around the outside.
Yeah.
A little bit of bodywork went flying, didn't it?
Yep.
So watch on the left-hand side. Oh, it was so close. Need a frame-by-frame replay there. We've got people in the pits.
Drag racing start, wasn't it?
Pascal Wehrlein, Gary Paffett, Dirk Werner, Roberto Merri, Mortara, Timo Scheider, Marco Wittmann, all making their stops straight away. That will have released Joey Hand then into third position.
So what can Hand do on these tyres? How long can he make them last? And nobody really seems sure because they haven't run on them here ever.
Well, that is very confusing. Why has Marco Wittmann gone into pits? On the prime tyre he was.
Well, he must have some completely different strategy. Don't understand that.
Timo Scheider also on the prime tyre.
Whoa, looking back at Timo Glock.
And Mortara on the prime tyre. So all those three cars into the pits and now onto the options. And no real idea of how long the options are going to last. We know that they've got good pace in them. They've got at about 2 seconds better pace.
Another pit stop. Wonder if it's about track position then.
Yeah, Tombe pulls into the pits very fast in qualifying. Should have been in the top 4, Adrian Tombe, but made a mistake in the final corners. And will he switch to the option tyre as well? The yellow sidewalls tyre.
Spengler up to 11th place because he hasn't made a stop yet. So
Andy Prio exits in the pits and goes on to the option. So everyone is making these early stops and going on to the option tyre. Wittmann leads those cars that have made the first stop. Ekstrom leads the cars that are still on the longer duration prime tyre, but lapping good 2.5 seconds slower. Farfus and Rockenfeller, 3 seconds between them. The gap has come down on the last lap by 0.3 of a second. And at the moment, it looks like it's very much a race just between two men with no one getting involved in the mix. Mercedes have no chance of upsetting the apple cart. And at the moment, Joey Hand and Philippe Albuquerque doesn't seem to have the pace to match Farfus and Rockenfeller at the front.
no, I'd certainly concur with that. Just wonder if those options are starting to go away already, Ben. We're only 6 laps into this.
Let's have a look at the times.
I think the general consensus was they go about 12 to 15 before they start to degrade, times-wise.
So Wittmann is in 16th place, super fast in the first sector, and his best of all in the second sector as well. Marco Wittmann lying in 13th place, does the fastest lap of the race with a 32.2.
Yeah, he went purple in the first sector, Wittmann. He is flying. See how steep it is up from that Hugenholz corner. It's even steeper than that when you look at it in real life.
Marco Wittmann found a second in the first sector of the lap over his prime tyres. So that is where the advantage is in clean air. And at the moment he has a 6-second gap of clean air to Danny Jungdella, who's just ahead of him. So Marco Wittmann could play into this race later stages. Here's a quick look at Robert Wickens in the one-off livery for this weekend. Steel livery, and he lies in 10th position. There is Wittmann, 13th spot. A nice clean track ahead of him. Again, a good lap, faster than anyone else on track at the moment, including Farfus and Rockenfeller. As a reference, Farfus does a 33.5, Rockenfeller a 33.1. He's lost a second over his lap time the previous lap. The tyres are going off already on lap 7.
Yeah, as we said, they'd never run these tyres on these cars around here before. They just didn't know how they were going to perform. They're finding out now as the gap between Farfus and Rockenfeller has just closed up a little bit to 2.6 of a second as Ekstrom comes in.
But with a deficit of 2 seconds per lap, you actually want to be on those tyres, because 2 seconds in 7 laps is a 14-second advantage.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount. Ekstrom comes out. Oh, Andy Prio gets ahead of him. I think there's a bit of contact between the two.
Prio in the Crown Plaza car.
Ekstrom comes out in 21st position, last of the runners. This is for last place at the moment.
They're lapping in the 134s, both of them.
Timo Scheider and Whitman in the 32s, everyone else in the 33s or 34s. There is the gap between the two.
And of course, the two different marques probably work these tyres, these options in a different way, Ben.
Absolutely.
But I got a feeling that the Audi might be a bit kinder to them.
Let's have a look to see whether they feel like they've fallen off the cliff as yet. Farfus continues. Completes a lap in a 34 dead, so they are definitely losing pace.
Rocky's taking 0.7 a second off in that lap.
Yeah, that Audi is treating its tyres a lot better. And look, already Marco Whitman in 12th position has caught up with the prime runners ahead of him. Danny Juncadella for Mercedes, Spengler, Wickens and Tomczyk, with Jamie Green leading the queue. Although I think that was Tomczyk going into the pits, and Juncadella clears it out of in front of Whitman as well, so gifted 2 positions.
On board then with Mike Rockenfeller as he charges after the Brazilian Augusto Farfus. BMW versus Audi. Mercedes not in the fight today. Wickens currently in 8th place. But Wickens, of course, have not made a stop. The best of the people on the primes is now Jamie Green in 7th.
Now this is when strategy really comes into force.
And I think strategy is really going to play out, Ben.
There's a lot of heavy thinking going on at the moment. Whitman is 30 seconds back from Farfus on track, so even if Farfus makes a pit stop now...
What's the vector here? About 23, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, so he'll come out with a decent advantage. But at the moment, he's still lapping. Well, Whitman on that last lap lapped a second faster than Farfus. Wasn't a great lap, in fact, by Marco Whitman.
Hans still putting in very quick laps as well. So Hand is lapping quicker than Farfus at the moment. So just wonder if that destroys our theory that the BMW are really tough on the option.
Yeah.
Maybe it's driving styles as well.
Farfus went very aggressive early on to build up a gap in the early laps. That could have potentially punished him. Of course, now there are blue flags for Marco Whitman. With all these cars he's catching, that he's not in the same strategy. So Wickens has to get out of the way, which he does so. And the reason for that is to stop teams balking other drivers when they're on different strategies. So Wickens gets out of the way of Whitman. Will certainly lose pace by doing so. And the next man to receive the blue flag will be Jamie Green, and then Marco will be on his own. Spengler in the pits and back out. Drops to 20th position for BMW.
And again, Rockenfeller closed up on Farfus at the front. There you see it. It's gone from 1.5 to 1.1 or 1.169 to be exact to the thousandth of a second. And now you can see from our onboard camera, Rockenfeller has got Farfus very much in his sights now as they go round the long bank Tarzan corner in this tight little section. And then they'll turn left and go up the hill. And Farfus just takes a little look into his mirror. And look at Rocky's concentration.
You see how bumpy it is from the drivers moving around in the seat. And of course now, what BMW don't want to do is to release Mike Rockenfeller. So they don't want to pit Augusto Farfus until Rockenfeller pits, but they don't want to wait a lap because Rockenfeller, a lap on new tyres, will jump Farfus. So they need to make sure they pit on the same lap, and that's a tricky one for BMW to do.
Yeah, and they've got to watch all the time at Whitman in 9th place at the moment, but just scanning up and down the times, he is the fastest man out there.
And now 29.7 seconds back from this lead battle. With Timo Scheider mirroring his every move just behind. The pace has dropped off though. Already it's equal with the front, so they got about 3 or 4 good laps out of those tyres, and now it's stabilised at a 34.5. Robert Wickens making his stop and going back out.
These Hankook tyres, a collaboration between German and Korean engineers, and look at this now, this is the battle for the lead. Neither of them have made a pit stop yet, both on the same tyres. Fair fight.
Mike Rockenfeller, though, does not need to pass Augusto Farfus to win this championship. He can stay there as he is, and he does not need to pass him. But if he doesn't push and he's slowed down by Farfus, then Wickens could come into play. No, Whitman.
Whitman, yeah. Wickens, I don't think, will come into play today.
No,
very different story to Moscow. The outgoing champion Spengler still down there in 20th place.
Jamie Green, the last of the Audi runners to be on the prime tyre, staying out there. Audi pitted extra a couple of laps ago and put him back on primes with Tomczyk and Spengler. But everyone else, other than Junkadella, on the option tyre, choosing the faster but more peaky tyre. These two have done 11 laps on him, though. And the pace dropping down to 34.8.
Dan Whitman still the fastest man out there, though Albuquerque just went a fraction quicker last time around.
It's not as significant as it was, though. It's not 2 seconds per lap. It's a couple of tenths per lap now from the front guys.
These tyres don't seem to go off the cliff, do they? They seem to drop in performance. Not a greater deal, and then they seem to plateau out for quite a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And now nose to tail they are at the front of this field, quarter of the way through this penultimate round of the DTM as Rockenfeller looks for the inside. Difficult to pass around here. Probably thinking about lining him up at the end of the pit straight.
Oh, Farfus looks like a really injured driver already. The car does not look fast at all, especially through that chicane. Rockenfeller all over him. This is where the tyres really get punished through these last two turns. And Farfus gets the hammer down and pulls a little bit of a gap between the two of them. Has a look in his mirrors to see where Rockenfeller is, but I don't think Rockenfeller is close enough to make a move into Tarzan. He's not.
Well, if they'd had the DRS operating, presumably they would have used it there and he might have gone blasting by.
Absolutely. But now pure driver skill to make a move. Joey Hand has taken a second out of these front two on the last lap.
Hand having by far his best performance of the DTM thus far in his second season now. Pretty confident he'll be driving for BMW again next year in this championship.
Whitman taking a second and a half out of these two on that last lap. Down the gap now to 27.7 seconds.
Going to be pretty surprised if Whitman's not on the podium the way it's going at the moment.
It's really, really good. Scheider also looking pretty good, his pace. But Farfus does not look comfortable in that BMW. He does not look like he's got the grip around this back end of the circuit at all. And look how close, once again, Mike Rockenfeller is. And Augusto Farfus sits in the middle of the road. It's relatively narrow down here.
Well, he's doing a good job of holding him up at the moment, but what about this time? Down into the Tarzan.
Yeah, there's no opportunities to overtake through these next two corners. And what Rockenfeller needs to do is to stay as close as possible through here. But if he's too close, the aerodynamics come into effect. He loses downforce and he'll scrub speed off. And he won't be close enough. I think Farfus is coming to the pits. It looked like he was coming in. Yes,
in he comes. So Farfus comes in. Be interested to see.
Right, what tyres is he going on? Is he going on the options again, or on the
not sure, Ben.
tyre?
I thought I saw the standards coming out.
Yeah, standard tyres then for Augusto Farfus. Not many people have done that so far in this race, so they are almost doing a completely different strategy to the rest of the field, which seems very, very brave. There, look, it's Marco Whitman.
Yeah, Farfus comes out in front of him, and they can work together.
So there wasn't that much then of a gap between the two, and Whitman needs to continue to push to try and find himself between Farfus and Rockenfeller once Rockenfeller makes his stop, which I assume will be on this next lap. What sort of pace can Rockenfeller do in clean air? It was a 35.8 the last time through when following Augusto. He's now on his own. I don't think we're going to get a fair representation because I think in theory, he should go into the pits.
Just saw the front of that car sparking a bit. Ride height, very important around here, getting the absolute right setup as Rocky uses all the curb there. The rear end just twitches out a little bit in the Phoenix Racing run. Audi A5.
And it looks like he continues.
He continues, and that lap was a, just waiting for it to click over, 1:34.9.
Yeah, so he finds 6/10 in clean air over following Augusto Farfus.
So he's kept these option tyres in pretty good condition, I think, Ben. And this is important. He's got to get his head down now, hasn't he? He's got to try and get some really good laps in the clean air.
Now, in theory, if Farfus, well, we don't really know the good pace of a prime tyre. Farfus's first lap out the pits, he's got Whitman just 3 seconds back from him.
At the moment, the gap between Rockenfeller and Farfus is 22 seconds.
Yeah, that is, that's not enough.
Yeah, but I think on the next lap, Farfus was going out the pits.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So we've got to wait another lap to see what the genuine gap is.
Most importantly, though, Augusto Farfus has clean air as he heads down to the back end of the circuit. Mike Rockenfeller also with clean air, yet to catch any of the back markers. Although Blue Flag's very efficient in DTM. We've already seen the Blue Flag roll. Rockenfeller goes a little bit deep into that chicane, has to back off. His first sector of the lap in the 42s, so he's certainly losing pace as opposed to Farfus, who did a 41.6 on that first sector alone. The gap continues to come down, and therefore Rocky needs to come into the pits, and that is exactly what he does.
Breaks it onto that mark then on the rev limiter, pit speed limiter, down towards the Phoenix Racing team. And I just saw in their pit box some senior Audi Sport personnel as opposed to Phoenix personnel.
Hand also in the pits behind. Rockenfeller mirrors the same. Oh, and gets released into Joey Hand's path. And Hand has missed his pit stop because of that. He's missed the block. He just about got in.
Just got in.
Farfus stays ahead and has gained a little bit of an advantage. Now here's Whitman on the tail of Mike Rockenfeller once again.
Well, all right, we've got Albuquerque in the lead and Molina haven't made a stop, but I think this third, fourth and fifth is really the battle for the lead, don't you, Ben, in effect?
Absolutely.
And Timo Scheider having his best run of the season, and then Hand and Tambe. Gary Paffett found a little bit of pace in the Mercedes.
Yeah, it's working better on the option tyre, isn't it, the Mercedes cars? Up to 9th. Oh.
And Hand turns in, look, that was close. See it from a different angle.
Now he's...
well, do you know, I'm going to watch the screen from the race control.
Yeah.
Could be a penalty for that, unsafe release.
We saw Augusto Farfus being fined in the shakedown on Friday, in fact, the rollout, where he was released into the path of Mike Rockenfeller. Got fined 2,000 euros, and we saw an investigation, I think it was in qualifying as well, when it was an unsafe release. That was very, very close.
What happens to all this fine money? I'd like to think it goes into driver development. Maybe it does. Albuquerque then in the lead. Managed to get his season together in the last 2 or 3 races, having not scored any points most of the season. Molina second, still to make their pit stops. They are lapping Albuquerque 35.4, Molina 35.2. Probably about 0.4, 0.5 off the real pace. As Paffett comes in now in the Euronics car. Paffett stops at his mark. He said 3 times winner here in the past. Got involved in a controversial incident here last year.
That is his 2 stops over and done with then, as he comes out into a good gaggle of cars. He's onto the prime tyre, and he'll stay on that prime tyre until the end of the race. So he's got a long way to go to try and make that tyre work. The first to do so.
Now, is that a good strategy? Will that work for him? He's tried it before.
I'll say Mike Rockenfeller's car does not look as good on this prime tyre than it did on the option. And this, of course, is a tyre that they were using for qualifying that he was slightly struggling with. The BMW behind looks a lot better. Marco Wittmann, although it's on the option tyre, he still has better pace than Rockenfeller.
They're certainly closing on Rocky, but I'm looking at the splits, Ben, on this current lap. Rocky's pulling out a bit more, so maybe it's taken a little while to get those tyres working correctly for him. Rocky 35.4, Farfus 35.2. So, do you think Wittmann's tyres are going off now?
On that last lap, it seemed to, the gap did seem to increase, but it had been decreasing the last couple of laps before then. But when was his stop? It was quite early on. I think that was lap 11 or so. So potentially he's had the best of them, and now they'll hit that plateau that we saw Farfus and Rockenfeller in, doing 34s, 35s.
And the thing is, the plateau is about the same sort of speed as
the prime. Yeah.
So as long as it doesn't drop off, stay on them. Unless, of course, you want to try and come in and get into some clean air.
Farfus on the primes doing a 35.2 on a good set of primes. Whereas we've seen 31s on a good option set. And that's a huge, huge margin. Will we see someone doing double option? It might well be an advantage. Timo Scheider now starting to come into the mix. Looks like he's faster than both the two ahead of him. Of course, Scheider is also on the option tyre.
Something interesting, Albuquerque, of course, is still there in second place. So has he just come in now? He's just come in now. But he started on the option. So the options will go 18 laps, that we do know.
They'll go 18 laps, but not particularly fast.
No, correct.
He goes on to the prime. You say we didn't see a cliff falling off. It just seems to be a gentle progression of going slower and slower. But it's being on a slow option seems to be as good as being on the prime.
Yeah. And we think the prime will go a long, long way. Well, Robert Wickens, look how that Mercedes bounces around. We've seen that over the years with Mercedes. It always seems to be very stiff at the front.
It's the battle for the 11th place between Glock and Wickens. Wickens right on his tail, but really nowhere to pass through this first sector of the lap other than that first corner. Oh, Glock goes a little bit wide, opens the door for Wickens to get a better drive, and he's got better traction as well, hasn't he? So now it's a drag race side by side, and it's really not much room to go side by side down this part of the circuit. Wickens makes it work though for him. Good respect between the two drivers.
Brave old boy Wickens. Remember, his victory came after a fantastic overtaking manoeuvre all around the outside of a long left-hander.
Oh yeah, the Nürburgring.
Yep.
3 corners he spent on the outside. Timo Scheider now putting Marco Wittmann under pressure. And Rockenfeller has got a little bit more of breathing space, but Farfus has a good advantage over Mike Rockenfeller, 3.2 seconds.
Just you can see the positions on your screen. Molina, Farfus, Rockenfeller, Wittmann, Timo Scheider, and his hand.
And Molina's in the pits, the leader of our race.
So where is he going to cycle back in? Probably about 6th or 7th, is he?
Comes back out. Yeah, 7th or 8th position.
Yeah, 8th.
So that means we've had all of our first stops. The only person to be, there's got a couple of people having done 2 stops. Mercedes have experienced with Paffett, Wehrlein and Vitoris. Vitoris 3rd in the championship, 2nd last. And Andy Prio has done 2 stops for BMW in 21st position. All of those on the prime and going a long way on those primes.
Timo Scheider, nice to see the former double champion there near the sharp end of this race. I think he's losing streaks, about 28 races, Timo Scheider. Tomczyk there, being a bit invisible in this race really. Tomczyk running down in 14th place, champion only 2 years ago. Champion last year, Bruno Spengler
Gary Pappett finding a way through past Jamie Green in a place where you're not supposed to really overtake, so a nice move from Pappett.
Yeah, bit of controversy between those two here last year when they were both with Mercedes.
Although they're on different strategies, so maybe they were helped by the blue flags. Into pits comes Marco Wittmann. Tyres were not giving him as much speed as he needed, so with 24 laps still to go, he makes his second stop. What tyres?
Well, I'm sure he'll go on to the primes now. Yeah, I think that's a... Now, Wittmann are going to try and get him in front of Rocky, aren't they?
Yeah, but with a set of prime tyres, he's not going to have that blistering pace that we saw early on.
Correct. They're just coming out at the moment in front of the block. So.
And the difficulty for Farfus and BMW as well is they really are relying quite heavily on Marco Wittmann, whereas Audi have got Timo Scheider and Adrian Tombe's going well. Albuquerque's on a different strategy as well, so they've got plenty of numbers at the front to help Mike Rockenfeller.
Farfus at the moment a lot quicker than Rocky that last lap. Whole second quicker. Both on the same tyres, remember?
Yeah, made similar pit stops at the similar times, but we saw in qualifying and through practice that this BMW is working these tyres incredibly well in the primes. A 34.7 his last lap. Mike Rockenfeller in the Audi, remember, in the interview said he's not so happy with his car during qualifying. Had to push very, very hard. Potentially it's not working. Here comes Mike Rockenfeller in the pits.
It's going to be very interesting to see where he comes out.
That means that Audi's attention is actually on Marco Wittmann and not Augusto Farfus. Yeah. They're trying to race Wittmann for this.
I'd agree with that.
They've let Farfus go and take the win.
Look at these pit stops.
Primes to primes.
And poetry in motion. And he just gives a little nod, I think, as he talked into the microphone of his crash helmet as he comes out here. And he's in front of Wittmann by 3-4 seconds.
But he's got a car that he's not comfortable with. He's not fast enough in the Audi with a prime tyre.
Well, let's see. Sometimes they aren't absolutely equal, these sets of tyres. Let's see how he gets on with this set.
And of course, pressure changes as well. You can tweak that between stops. But now it is Marco Wittmann who has the weight of BMW on his shoulders.
He's the one man that can stop this Rockenfeller Championship happening here at Zandvoort.
Farfus does a 41.4 through the first sector. Wittmann does a 41.7. Rockenfeller, well, he's coming out the pit, so we can't tell.
He doesn't tell. It's
he'll complete sector 2 in just a second. Sector 2 from Farfus at a 24.7. And here is Rockenfeller. Rockenfeller does a 25.1, you see, so he's lost another 4/10 on Farfus and 2/10 on Wittmann.
Timo Scheider has been brought in. So they're going to try and get him out in front of Wittmann to defend Rocky, aren't they? That's the strategy here. It's a great stop at 3.1 seconds. Let's see where he comes out now.
Going to be a very good stop indeed. He's going to come out ahead of Rockenfeller. That's not in the script.
But he only just let him by. And there's Wittmann behind, look.
That shows that the pace of Timo Scheider is pretty good. In comparison to Mike Rockenfeller, he's got a much nicer car on these prime tyres. And we saw that when he was sitting behind Wittmann and Rocky early on. Scheider, I think, can drive away if he wants to, but it's not going to be in the script for the Audi boss.
They do what they're told, Ben.
Absolutely.
Absolutely sure about that. They'll just let it settle down for a couple of laps.
I suppose they've got more control putting him in that position than they do trying to get him in that small gap between Rockenfeller and Wittmann. Wittmann is faster than Rockenfeller. There's no doubt about that.
Just to explain to the viewers, there's people in the back of trucks actually working out all these different scenarios, crunching the numbers on the computers.
There's nothing those engineers can do on raw pace. And Mike Rockenfeller has done both his pit stops, Mike. So has Marco Wittmann. No more strategy coming into play. It's all down to the drivers, and they are within a second of each other on the track. With Timo Scheider pulling away. Maybe they can get Scheider into the lead of this race. Be a tricky one.
Been a favourite son at Audi, and as he said, there's this long losing streak from Timo Scheider. I want to Farfus lapping 135.2 at the moment.
We wait for the time of Rockenfeller at 35.9, Wittmann at 35.6. So still Farfus is the fastest man on circuit. He's just got a great car on the prime tyre.
Well, they started the season fast out of the box, did the man from Curitiba, winning the first race. Had a second win. And here he is. Maybe a third win is on the cards, and he keeps this title chase alive, and that's just what we wanted.
Farfus is doing everything he possibly needs to do, and he can't do any more. But the control is almost out of his hands now. It's down to Marco Wittmann and Timo Scheider and where they finish up. And what happens to Mike Rockenfeller?
Farfus to Timo Scheider. Ben is 29 seconds at the moment. So Farfus should be able to get in and get out quite a bit in front of him.
But at the moment he doesn't need to. He's got good pace in that car. The tyres haven't gone off. It's consistent in the late 34s and the early 35s.
Yeah, he can run another 20 laps on those. And of course, as the fuel burns off, it just doesn't hurt the tyres quite so much. All that has to be factored in. Of course, it's different to 3 years ago. Or let's just talk our way through this.
Bit of contact.
Yep. Brownbay and Hand having a good battle there.
That's a battle of second position on track at the moment. Rockenfeller gets past Scheider. So Scheider blended off the throttle going down the straight, and now Marco Wittmann has to be super aggressive again like he was on that first lap to get past Timo Scheider. They can see, Audi can see that Rockenfeller is struggling and that Wittmann is a faster car on these prime tyres. And now Scheider is playing his role in this fascinating race.
Real DTM tactics coming into play now. Timo Scheider is allowed to drive a wide car. He's not allowed to weave.
We saw how aggressive Marco Wittmann was in the early laps. Here it is. Just blends off the throttle. And a great place to do it, of course, because it means that he can instantly slide into the gap.
Marco Wittmann thought I could go through with him, but he was wrong.
He needed to. He needed to be a lot closer to Rockenfeller than he was. And there was a perfect DTM Audi-sized gap for Timo Scheider to slot into.
Thank you, Timo. Beers on me as Farfus comes in.
Instantly, Wittmann losing 2/10 to Rockenfeller and Scheider.
Sitting there impassively for just 2.9 seconds and then blast out again.
That's a great stop for BMW to get Farfus out.
Yeah, that team from Belgium certainly as good at those pit stops as Schlitzer are these days.
A long association with the BMW mark. And of course, Augusto Farfus running with that team in the World Touring Car Championship, where he made his name before they moved their attention to the DTM and brought over with them their two drivers, Andy Priaulx and Augusto Farfus. Obviously, Priaulx no longer with Team RBM.
Yeah, he's switched to the other German squad that runs the cars, new team for last year. Stress a bit there in the Audi camp. So
19 laps to go, and all the front runners that we think are in contention for the win have all made their pit stops. Now it's purely down to how fast the drivers can drive.
Pretty mixed up at the moment with people who made one stop and people with two. The order is irrelevant really at the moment. Tambay, Hand, Molina, Farfus, Mortara, Werner, Wickens, Rockenfeller and Timo Scheider. Tambay hasn't made his second stop, neither has Hand, neither has Molina. What a battle that was between Tambay and Hand.
Now, what is Whitman thinking? Because he's dropped off the back of these two Audis quite considerably. There's no doubt that he's got the pace, but he's just, for the moment, almost given Timo Scheider a little bit of breathing space.
His lap times dropped down to the 136s.
We've got Hand, Molina and Wickens in the pits. Johnny Hand is the next place BMW behind Whitman and Farfus in this race. Slow pit stop for Robert Wickens.
Like she said, new, revised livery on that car from Steel.
Just for this race, I believe. Back out onto track. Joey Hand slots into 9th position. Next place BMW, you see. There's such strong numbers from Audi in the top positions here. BMW don't have the strength in depth. Spengler and Prio and Tomczyk down in 18th, 19th and 21st position.
Just looking at time, Tambay is going to come out pretty close with Rocky.
Side by side,
Whoa!
Down the back end of the circuit. And a lovely move from Ekstrom to get past Danny Juncadella.
But Ekstrom actually is the fastest man out there at the moment. He's down in the 33s.
Well, he's in the option tyre, isn't he?
Yep.
And the option tyre is a faster tyre.
But Ben, I'm just wondering if they can get Tambay out close to Scheider, close to Whitman.
Well, he does have the pace. Now he comes into the pits. Adrian Tambay had the pace in qualifying, but missed out.
I think he's just going to be behind Whitman, actually. I don't think they're going to get him out in time. There he's released.
Yep, on the prime tyre.
Yeah, he's way behind him.
He's going to sit in 4th position, though, behind those top, 5th position, behind Rockenfeller, Scheider and Whitman. So a good run from Adrian Tambay. And it's comfortably ahead of Joey Hand, who he was battling with before the stops. So that was worth it. Timo Glock makes his stop.
Just wonder if a bit of damage to Hand's car. Sometimes those little knocks just knock the tracking out or just tweak the rear suspension a bit, and the car handling goes away. So critical in the DTM. Mr. Jens Marquardt just contemplates the situation. Only his 2nd year as boss of BMW Motorsport, taking over, of course, from Dr. Mario Tyson, who really was the architect of this DTM program, and BMW coming back to the DTM. Remember, Mercedes obviously have their Formula 1 commitment, Audi have their prototype commitment, but for BMW this is their #1 motorsport activity, and how it paid dividends last year. I think you're absolutely right, Ben. Whitman's just sitting there now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Timo Scheider sticking right on the tail of Mike Rockenfeller, showing that he has got the pace, definitely. Dirk Werner is now into the pits from 3rd position.
So this is it. Other than Matara, we've had everyone in the pits. Matara in 2nd place at the moment. He's going to drop down, probably out of the top 10. There's Werner. Where's he going to come back in? Werner. With BMW quite a while now. Before that, of course, successful in Porsches.
Comes out ahead of Robert Wickens.
His car gets a very good look at the rear end of the BMW.
Interesting to see that Ekstrom and Tomczyk are on the option tyre for their final run, so they're going to try and make that option tyre run a long, long time, and they've all got pretty good pace down there, Spengler as well. Can't say the same. Oh, Jamie Green's in the 33, isn't he?
Yeah, those tyres won't go to the end at that pace, though.
Well, they're going to try, unless they're going to do an extra stop.
No, I don't think they'll do an extra stop, but I just think the edge they're giving them at the moment will wear away.
Oh, of course, yeah, but will they fall away as much as the prime? That's the question.
Yeah.
Early on in the race, it didn't look like it.
So Mortara's still up there. We think he'll drop out of the top 10 once he makes his stop. So effectively the order is Farfus, Rockenfeller, Timo Scheider, Whitman, Tombe, Hand, Albuquerque, Paffett, Molina and Verline.
Pretty amazing that the gap now between Farfus and Rockenfeller is over 10 seconds as Rockenfeller comes to the line. 11.7, a second taken out of his time. Again, Farfus is doing 34 sevens. Rockenfeller can only do 35 sevens.
Just to remind everybody, Rockenfeller will take the championship, assuming it stays the way it is.
Yes, exactly. But look at the times behind. Tombe, Hand, Albuquerque, even Paffett is faster than Rockenfeller and Tomczyk and Scheider can manage at the moment. A really slow pace from Rockenfeller. And you know what? I'm wondering whether we'll see Tombe, Hand and Albuquerque, Paffett all starting to close up. There's only a couple of seconds between each of them. We might have a big long train behind Mike Rockenfeller and Timo Scheider come race end.
We could well, 15 laps remaining here at Zandvoort in this penultimate round of the DTM, the world's fastest touring car championship they call it. And we see a shot now of Gary Paffett.
Effectively, these cars are more like a single-seater than they are a touring car, just with bodywork over the wheels.
Yeah, when you see the actual carbon monocoque, and remember all three manufacturers use the same carbon monocoque, it looks like a single-seater monocoque.
A spectacle in the dunes for the fans around the circuit.
Yeah, when you stand by these cars with the best part of 500 horsepower, you know, they shake the ground.
So
okay,
this is Mortara, yes. He's made his options work, and he goes on to a set of primes for the end of the race. With 14 laps remaining, potentially the options would have been a better choice, but Audi know what they're doing, and he comes right into the middle of the pack, tries to get a head out in front of Wickens, but Wickens drives clean around the outside of him. Nice little battle for the last few points between Werner, Verline, Wickens and Mortara there as well. Ekstrom is working his way up. And look at that, even Tomczyk and Spengler now starting to find some pace in their tyres.
Long time since we've had a win from Ekstrom, if you don't count the situation at the Norris Ring and the famous water bottle down the trousers, which are a race that he won by strategy and merit, only to lose it on a penalty I thought was a bit overstrong for the actual crime itself. And look at Rocky, look at those eyes, the former Le Mans 24-hour winner. Of course, this season concentrated on the DTM, and that has paid dividends for him. Wonder if they'll put him back into a Le Mans car next year.
Wickens getting back close again with that lot. Whitman, sorry.
Look at Farfus's lead there.
Huge lead to Rockenfeller in second. Scheider sitting there in third. Looks close enough to make an overtake, but clearly won't.
Frustrating really for Farfus. He's driving a great race. He's running away with it, but Rocky's in the right place to take the championship. And he's got a rear gunner as well to help him. Timo Scheider. Well, earlier in the season, nobody would have thought that the Audi guy that was going to help Rockenfeller was Timo Scheider, because he was mired back in the sort of teens as far as the positions are concerned. But suddenly he's got to grips with his engineer on this car, and by far his best performance of the season, and obviously got more pace in the car than Rocky has at the moment, as Timo Scheider, always very popular amongst the German fans.
Now you can see on the screen the championship prediction. Too much of an advantage between Rockenfeller and Farfus going into the final round at Hockenheim.
Yeah, 25 points. 25
and it will
points
mean that Rockenfeller is champion here. But he won't, I don't think, be a particularly happy champion either. If he does wrap up the race, the championship here, he's not going to be particularly happy because the car is just not working for him. He doesn't have the pace.
Well, it's doing enough, and
yeah,
winning a championship for him. It's been a while since he's taken one. Of course, most of his success has been over in the United States.
Here's a good battle between Ekstrom on those option tyres, still making them work, and Wickens. See, these options are definitely better to be on. They're going to, at some point, stop working so well. But Ekstrom continues to climb. Past Wickens then for 12th position, and he's got Wehrlein and Werner just ahead of him. He can get into the top 10 and into some points.
Who's the quickest man out there at the moment, Ben? Is it,
I would have thought it's probably Ekstrom visually. Everyone...
yeah, I think it's Mortara actually. He's on some fresh rubber that's obviously working quite well for him.
Mortara being forced off onto the dirt.
That won't do the tyres any good at all. It brings a lot of gravel onto the circuit as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Gravel and sand, just sort of scoop some of it up.
So let's have a look at what Ekstrom can do. From 12th with Werner, Wehrlein, a BMW and a Mercedes ahead. Molina can't be that far up the road either. And dives down the inside, just more grip on those option tyres, there's no doubt about that. And that was a pretty easy pass down the inside of Dirk Werner. And now, through these two turns where traction is so key on the acceleration zones, on the exit of the turns, and those options still giving him better grip. As the cars become lighter and lighter, he can work them better and better. Wickens having to go defensive.
And Farfus pulling away all the time from Rockenfeller. That lead is increasing.
Oh, Wickens is going defensive because Tomczyk is also there on the option tyre. Bit of contact between the two as Wickens tries to shut the door. Now with better traction out of that turn, they go side by side through the final turn again. Wickens shuts the door, very, very brave.
That's the spot we saw Peter Dombrey have that whole huge accident at the Opel, what, 10, 12 years ago now.
There is no room for error there.
Flames licking out the side of the cars.
And that's one surprise that we haven't seen Mortara on the option tyre, because he came in with 14 laps to go. If he'd gone on the option, he'd have this sort of a pace. Instead, he's on the primes and he's doing 35s, 36 on the last lap, and won't be able to make too much progress from his 16th place at the moment. There is Tomczyk now trying to line up Robert Wickens once again. The place to do it is not in this corner, which is super fast, just a dip of the throttle, but it's the next couple of traction zones. Ekstrom also at the front of the queue, trying to find a way past Wehrlein for 10th.
Interesting scrap, of course.
There he goes.
Oh, there he goes. Ekstrom goes through.
Makes it look easy. Those options really working. Now focus on the BMW behind, and he has a quick look down the inside of Wickens, but Wickens shuts the door, and now we head towards the chicane. Some work to do for Tomczyk, but recovery drive with Spengler just behind, also on those same tyres. Option the orange side, the yellow sidewall tyre.
So 11 laps remaining here. At the front still is Farfus motoring away, looking for his third victory of the season. Rockenfeller firmly in second place, heading towards the championship, but nothing's over until it's over. Timo Scheider running shotgun for Rocky, then it's Whitman who's just about a second behind Timo Scheider. Tambay's in there as well, and then Joey Hand and Albuquerque. Paffett is up to 8th place. Ekstrom now has got himself in the points, but lots of nice little battles as we go back to the leader of this race.
Yeah, it was Wickens trying to find a way past Dirk Werner, and Werner was very defensive going into Tarzan. At the same time, Tomczyk sniffing behind the two of them. But look at this, Farfus taking it very nice and easy. No need to push. He's got a better pace than all the guys behind. Rocky's now in the 36s.
Yeah, and it's just... They've got Timo Scheider going with him, defending him all the way, but Whitman doesn't seem to have enough in the car to try and have a little peck at them, does he?
Yeah, but look at it, it's brought Tambay into play now, so Tambay can start attacking Marco Whitman as well and have 3 Audis there. But Joey Hand is also being brought into play in the BMW.
Can he do anything about this? Can he try and sort it out a bit?
Well, he needs to. He really, really needs to. BMW have got to go super aggressive now in these last 10 laps if they've got any chance of keeping Farfus and a championship alive. Side by side, Wickens under pressure.
From Spain, 2 Canadians together, remember, they've clashed recently. And, well, one called the other a child, the other one said he was a schoolboy or something. Previous race, 2 Canadians clashing. Will they do the same here? Farfus, Rockenfeller. Farfus again pulling away. 0.6 that last lap.
Considering they all qualified effectively within a second of each other around here, now with the tyres and the strategies all playing out, they're at very different paces. Ekstrom still in a 34s, 2 seconds faster than Mike Rockenfeller, and they're trying to go side by side, the two BMWs. Through the first part of the lap, Tomczyk and Dirk Werner. Also,
and look at Spengler. I can see those two Canadians making contact again.
Ekstrom trying to find a way past Molina, then Wehrlein, Werner, and a bit of a gap now because Tomczyk's compromised himself. And then behind, Robert Wiggins being pressured by Spengler.
The 5 of them left on the options.
It's working for them. It's really working for them. Junkadella is now on the option tyre, and he's did a 33.8 the last time through. That is a good second and a half than most of the field, other than if we ignore Augusto Farfus, who's in a different tyre altogether, a different planet. 15 seconds now, the gap between him and Rockenfeller.
And now there's only about 5 people going slower than Rocky. And what was that little adjustment? Is that a brake balance adjustment then?
Didn't see. Look at that, a clean track ahead of him, but a massive queue behind. He's going to be pretty thankful to Timo Schuyler at the end of this race, because Mike Rockenfeller could have been in real trouble.
Absolutely. There is Farfus on his imperious way. 15 seconds. This is going to be one of the biggest victory margins of the season, Ben. Third win of the year. Take him ahead of Rocky in pure wins.
I wonder why Marco Whitman has just dropped off a little bit.
Yeah. I would have thought you would at least try to worry Timo Schuyler, wouldn't you? Got a bit closer.
Interesting to see Timo Glock has dropped to 19th position after pretty good qualifying. He started in 8th spot. His pace in the race is really not there at all. Running with Team M-Tech, again, new in this championship this year, but they also run Whitman. So the last set of tyres they put on both cars have not really worked. Paffett and Green still at it.
Yeah, 2 Brits together. Former teammates, of course, for many years. Must have been 8 or 9 years they were teammates at Mercedes.
That's Ekstrom, sorry.
Oh, yes, Ekstrom. Yeah. Green's got the yellow flashes on his car.
And that is Ekstrom continuing his march up through the field.
Up to 9th.
Not bad.
And up to 8th, actually, now.
This last stint is really, really working on the option tyre for Ekstrom.
7 laps left. And for Ekstrom, a couple of seconds faster than most people. 14 seconds that could be.
I think we saw Whitman having to go defensive on Tombe into the Sarzan at the back of the shot, as Glock has a fight with Junkadella. Plenty of changing going on in the mid-pack. Glock now holding on ahead of Junkadella as they come to complete the lap.
It's hard to say that Andy... Oh,
wow.
That was quite a biff, wasn't it? Timo Glock being very aggressive with...
well, it was Junkadella that made the move.
He started it, didn't he?
He started it.
Reigning... you wouldn't do that in Formula 3. Remember, he's the reigning European Formula 3 champion. Tested a Williams Formula 1 car earlier this year.
It's interesting, you're allowed, you can do that as long as it's wheel-to-wheel contact. As soon as one of the wheels goes in between another wheel, then you have real problems, real damage, and a potential for a proper crash. But actual wheel-to-wheel contact, it's okay. Look at Tombe. Look at Tombe. Really putting Marco Whitman under pressure.
Do you know, I think Whitman's got some problems with his tyres. I think he's rooted those tyres, and that's why he isn't able to attack those in front, and now he's having to defend strongly from Tombe. I can see Tombe getting by him.
Well, Whitman pitted on lap 20. So he pitted very, very early, as did Gary Paffett.
Oh, Whitman loses the back end. Quick wrench on the steering wheel, brings it straight again. What about down here? Car 17, black and white, pushing another car.
Junkadella.
Yeah.
Saw that on the screen. Who's that? Who's that in the gravel trap? And will it be a safety car? Could change things massively if it is. It's been a big accident.
Yeah, that's a big accident for the BMW.
That's Dirk Werner.
Of yeah, as you say, Dirk Werner. And how did that happen there?
Safety car is out.
Oh!
Here we go.
Well, that would, to a degree, play into the hands of BMW if we thought that Whitman had some speed in his car, but we don't.
Now, I think there's been contact between Werner and someone else. Jamie Green.
Jamie Green, yeah, oh, Jamie
just about saving it. Did he get a nerf? No, he doesn't.
Did he do a 360 and just carry on? I think he did.
Big old slide.
Oh no, he didn't do three, straightened it out.
We see Jamie would be expecting Werner just to blend off the accelerator, but if Werner was really struggling with his tyres, in fact, yeah, they're braking down there now. Just getting caught out. It's not a huge braking zone, but it's a place where if you don't have good tyres that you have to really compromise your speed. Oh.
Has the fire extinguisher gone off maybe?
It's like it, yeah. Well, it's not nice to be breathing in, that's for sure.
No, it's going to bail out. And Werner...
Make sure he shuts his visor as well.
Yeah, had some good runs this season, but not recently. And he's not happy. And his helmet looked covered in that powder.
Well, you see, you can fire off the extinguisher on the outside of the car. So if the marshal has leaned on something where he shouldn't have done, then the extinguisher might go off.
So there is the safety car. Everybody's going to concertina up behind it. That
God, the gap.
20 seconds the gap was.
Oh, Augusto. The thing is, we know that Farfus still has the pace in the car in comparison to Rocky. There's no doubt about that.
And 5 laps. There's Ernst Moser, the Phoenix Racing boss, probably just talking to Rocky. Stay calm. Concentrate on your restart.
Prio's come into the pits. Now, you see, now, Andy Prio might play a blinder here, because if he puts on the option tyres, he's going to have, what, 4 or 5 laps?
Yeah, but he's down in 20th place.
Yeah, but we've seen the pace of Ekstrom in the last couple of laps. He could really make a difference. I mean, being right down there, why not?
Yeah, might as well take a gamble.
Yeah.
Roll the old dice. Rocky then
see what tyres he's gone out on.
Gets the closest to the back of Farfus' car that he's been for the last 3/4 of an hour.
Gets a chance to see Farfus again. Has Prio gone out on options, or has he changed onto the primes again? The graphics are not showing it. There is Werner's car. Not an easy place to recover it either.
Didn't see any effort so to do.
It's a bit frustrating, really. I want to go racing again. One of the things that we've seen throughout this weekend, it's sort of characterised all the races here at Zandvoort, is that effectively any time you have a car off, well, you need a safety car to recover it. No quick snatch.
Well, they haven't got one of those special tractors they have at places like Suzuka.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Just to sort of walk through the gravel.
Caterpillar tracks.
Yeah, that's right. What's happening here then? Gone off in a... here we are. We've got a bit of action. Crane will hoist it out of the way. And I think only the last 2 laps will we be racing.
See, Jamie Green was also on a charge. He had good tyres on the car. And, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry, mate.
What was he playing around with that for? Oh dear, poor Dirk. And that's not nice stuff to breathe in. It's very toxic.
Puts fires out.
Well, that's what it's designed to do. It's not supposed to be swallowed and inhaled.
Well, not, and it certainly wasn't necessary.
No, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, his mates are going to pull his leg about that.
This is an interesting gap. There's a gap between Tomczyk and Wehrlein on our screens. Whether that exactly exists. No, it doesn't.
That's on the GPS. It's just catching up now as we watch it. So,
the only person that is behind, or was behind, it was Andy Prio, but he's now caught back. So the whole crocodile queue of cars.
Remember, we had Merry out right at the start.
So pit lane is now closed for obligatory pit stops, but everyone has already done all their stops. So we're going to have just 3 laps of racing when we get back going again. Has Marco Wittmann got anything in his car to attack Scheider and Rockenfeller?
Personally, I think not, but wait and see. That's one of the great joys of motor racing.
Now, this is where we normally see the safety car lights go out, around this point in the circuit. The incident.
He's going for another lap, isn't he?
Yeah, so over the start and finishing line. The incident between the 2 cars is under investigation, as you'd expect. Difficult to apportion blame. We saw in the Porsche Carrera Cup race, the blame being given to the driver at the front, who was deemed to be braking too early. So, in theory, Dirk Werner could also get a penalty for brake testing Jamie Green. Whether that was the case or not,
I don't think that was the case at all.
No.
I think just Green was on a better set of rubber.
Well, exactly.
And just carrying more speed down there.
And we saw the difference between the 2 cars. It was about 2 seconds a lap, and the traction zones where you really load up those left-hand tyres are the places where you're making the big gains. And that was the entrance to that turn. So it does allow Ekstrom to potentially play a blinder here if he's got any tyres left. Ekstrom is the first of the drivers on the option tyre. And then Tomczyk and Spengler as well.
So Rockenfeller there, still with the support of Timo Scheider, running shotgun for him.
Come on, safety car.
Yeah, let's get it in. Let's get this done. Let's get it to the flag. Let's see if...
Still going round. They're going to do another lap. It's going to be a 1-lap dash. It's because that medical car hasn't gone to pits yet, I think. Very frustrating.
Well, Mike Rockenfeller had a absolutely brilliant season, hasn't put a wheel wrong, always been competitive.
But you've got to say the star of the show today has got to have been Augusto Farfus.
Absolutely, for a second race meeting running. Now they've got the ambulance down there.
Maybe
because
Dirk is feeling a bit hazy.
Choked up,
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
More ways than one. Well, I hope this just doesn't finish under the safety car. It'd be such an anti-climax, wouldn't it? Light's still on then, Ben.
Yeah, well, I think this lap it should come in. If that medical car can get round back into the pits, we're going to have 1 lap of racing at least. The lights go out as we enter the second sector of the lap. And there is the medical car heading back to the pits. We've seen very heavy precautionary measures here at Zandvoort throughout the weekend in Formula 3, in the Porsches as well. And Dirk Werner clearly will not be particularly happy that he had to swallow a load of fire extinguishant, but we saw him walk out the car, so not too bad for him. Just needs a bit of oxygen to clear the lungs, I would have thought.
Yeah, interesting down there in the Phoenix Racing pit is Volker Nosek, who one of the big backroom boys. He works for Audi Sport, not one of the teams. He's one of the main coordinators as we get ready to rumble here. And let's see what happens. Farfus, boy, it hasn't closed up. They're not closed up that much, are they? Look.
Now he will. Now he'll control it. Tries to find a bit more temperature in the tyres. Close the field up.
Yeah. And now Rocky's getting a bit close. Engine note, purebred V8 racing engines.
BMW, is it BMW are going to offer them as, no, Audi are going to offer them as LMP2 engines. The DTM engine that they build.
Yeah, well, the spec's been the same for 10 years. We might have had new cars, the engines stayed the same. BMW, of course, designed a new motor for the DTM, but to the same spec.
But they change engines every year. They get them rebuilt by Neil Brown.
The Audi there.
Yeah.
Yep, built in the UK. say it quietly, but they do.
Look at that, Rockenfeller's not even interested in keeping up with Augusto Farfus.
No, and he's got Timo Scheider to defend him.
It's pretty close to Timo Scheider though. That's where to look. Can Whitman make a move and get himself up to third position? But he didn't have a
Off they go.
He didn't have a very good exit of that final turn. He's going to be under pressure from Adrian Tombe instead. Marco Whitman has just got no tyres left. Tombe's going to try and go around the outside here. It hasn't got the speed. Now looks to the inside, a bit of a bump.
Yeah, I think he just tapped him up the back. Saw another bit of carbon flying off.
And here comes Ekstrom with those better tyres.
Oh, look at Ekstrom.
And past Joey Hand. This could be a magic couple of laps from Ekstrom, who's side by side now with Tombe. A bit of rubbing, a bit of bumping.
He's got the line.
But those two, remember, are on the same team, and now Ekstrom moves up again.
He's still a racer, isn't he? Matthias Ekstrom has gone board with Albuquerque briefly.
He's got Gary Paffett behind him, the best of the Mercedes.
Wow, quite a shootout here.
Spengler's lost a lot of ground. What's happened to Spengler at the back of the field? He's dropped to last. So potentially an issue with Bruno Spengler.
And look at this. Look at Ekstrom. He's going to try and get past Whitman. And he does. And so now. Oh, and Whitman answers back. But no, Ekstrom's by.
Fantastic stuff. Those option tyres are still working better. I don't know why more people didn't try it. Ekstrom moves himself up into fourth position. I would have thought now he'll probably have to wait.
Checker flag
though. Here is Augusto Farfus, who takes the checker flag, but Mike Rockenfeller in second position takes the championship. He is DTM champion for 2013.
Timo Scheider finishes in third place. Ekstrom is fourth. What an incredible last lap from him. And then Whitman has to be content with fifth. And down at Phoenix, they're celebrating the group from the Eiffel Mountains. Their workshop is just across the road from the Nürburgring track. And they take their second title in 3 years. Remember, they won it with Tomczyk in one of the older cars. I think they might be on the beer tonight, Ben.
Certainly Mike Rockenfeller will.
Well, Farfus took the fight to him. He did everything he could today. And now Yves is right down there in that scrum and with Ernst Moser.
Who's almost crying. Is the second title win for the Phoenix team. How does it feel? Are you speechless?
I cannot, I have no words now in the moment. Emotion. No, it's really was a tough season and a great race today. And in a moment, I don't find the right words. Thank you to Audi, thank you to Rocky, thank you to my team. And now we celebrate.
For sure, a lot. Have a lovely celebration. Back to you with so many tears in his eyes.
Absolutely, Moser's been in racing a very long time, and for many years. Well, they were just one of the satellite teams that provided young drivers with the learning curve, and there was no chance of them ever beating the apt cars, but it's all turned around 3 years ago, and Moser and his gang have done an absolutely great job. And there, Rocky, pretty calm, isn't he, as a champion?
I think with this result, it'll also put that Team Phoenix at the lead of the team's standings. A really strong result and a real good team effort from Audi. Got to say, without his teammates, it would have been a lot harder for Mike Rockenfeller with the pace of Marco Whitman at the end.
Yeah, Dr. Ulrich down there. Big success for Audi this year. And there were some question marks, certainly in the middle of last year, that the new generation cars, that the A5 was definitely third in the list. Quick word though for Jürgen Jungklaus, Mike Rockenfeller's engineer, who's worked so closely with him, and Chris Van Rutten, also the Chief of Performance at Team Phoenix, and of course Dirk Thiemann, the team manager. So Rocky comes in.
And a big shout out as well to Timo Scheider, who's played an incredibly instrumental role in this particular race. Certainly had the pace to be in second position over Rockenfeller, but played the team game. And for a man who was the Audi man for many years, that would have been a difficult one to do.
Let's get back to Yves as Rocky stands on the roof.
Exactly, I do have his engineer with me, Jürgen Jungklaus. It's also your second title here. You were together with Martin Tomczyk in 2011. How does it feel now, 2 years later, with Mike Rockenfeller?
This is a really good feeling. Thank you very much for all support from everybody from Audi. Really good feeling, thank you.
You did an amazing job, all your team and everyone there, the mechanics, engineers, all them, always in the points. That was the key to success, wasn't it?
Yes, it was really good teamwork this year, good team spirit. So I think was everything good for us.
Do a big celebration back to you guys.
Thank you.
Some lovely images as we were talking there with Augusto Farfus saying, "I take my hat off to you." Mike Rockenfeller, and a big embrace between Rockenfeller and Timo Scheider as well.
So helmets coming off, the official weighing. There's various people getting ready for the podium ceremonies.
By the way, something did happen to Bruno Spengler on that last restart, because he dropped from something like 15th position down to last and finished 8.8 seconds behind Andy Prio. So something happened on that last lap. Prio didn't manage to make those tyres work for him, and Timo Glock dropped to 18th by the end. But it's about that man.
Yeah, it's about that man there, Mike Rockenfeller.
It's going so well in motorsport for Audi this year, isn't it?
And now we can hear from Mike's father.
Exactly. It's the daddy of Mike Rockenfeller. How do you feel?
I'm just happy.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just
back
happy.
to you.
Well, shortest interview. So, BMW obviously won the championship last year with Bruno Spengler. They've given a very good defence of the title, and they've come up winners today in the race, but not in the war.
Farfus has to be happy with himself. Drove a really good race, exactly. 3 wins. 3 wins, which is more than Timo Scheider.
Yeah. And there was the pit board, look, DTM champion, Mike.
Yeah, 2 wins for Mike Rockenfeller this year, 3 now for Farfus.
I've never heard him called Michael. He's always been Mike. And he comes from quite close to the Nürburgring. As we said, a lot of successful racing in Porsches. Won some championships in the ALMS. I think he was the ALMS GT champion about 5-6 years ago, it must be now. Winner of Le Mans. And then the following year, of course, had that horrendous crash in the night at over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, Audi, the winners of the Le Mans.
There's his girlfriend just in there. So the 4 rings of Ingolstadt, all that history from this company going back to the days of the Auto Union Grand Prix cars. And then of course the period when they were dominating rallying with the Quattro. Of course always their technology at the forefront, and then going through having so much success with diesel engines at Le Mans. Everybody thought they were crazy. But now we can go and join the DTM champion. Well done, Mike Rockenfeller.
The DTM champion 2013, former winner of the 24 Hours Nürburgring, Daytona and Le Mans. How does it feel now to become the first DTM title?
Unbelievable. It's hard to describe, you know. In the car it was really emotional. A lot of pressure came from my shoulders, and therefore I'm really happy. Thanks to Audi, thanks to the team. Great day, and I think it takes a little bit longer to realize.
Thank you so much, and I think he gave us a big heart attack with his start. Oh my goodness, back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Yves.
Of course, he so close to jumping the start. frame by frame, it must have been incredibly close. The reaction time's either really, really good or a bit too good.
Yes.
Dr. Ulrich.
Right, showing some emotion there, Dr. Ulrich. We've seen that before.
He's a racing driver at heart, isn't he? He's a racer at heart. He's a very good businessman, and look at that.
He has to justify all the money he spends to the board of Audi. And yes, I think the Audi brand has gained enormously from its rallying and then racing success, but always a lot of pressure on Dr. Ulrich.
And Augusto Farfus having a chat with Dr. Ulrich and then being congratulated by his boss. And he said, I could not do more, and to be fair, he's completely right. The gap between him and Rockenfeller at the end doesn't really reflect just how dominating the BMW was over Rockenfeller. Scheider third, Ekstrom and Whitman your top 5. A great run at the end for Ekstrom.
Last year there was no doubt about it, Bruno Spengler was the best man in the BMW, but this year you've got to say that Farfus has become the top dog for the Bavarian company.
And how about this? We're now going to get the Brazilian national anthem live.
She knows the words, I'm sure.
Augusto Farfus just about keeping the emotion locked down. His wife down watching him, quivering lips with the big sunglasses, the trademark big sunglasses that she's worn for many years to hide her emotions, and joy. And his daughter here as well to watch. Augusto Farfus picks up a nice large trophy from the boss of BP. By the looks of his son as well. And the BMW on the top step of the podium. It was Audi last year with Eduardo Mutara who took victory, but there's no doubt that BMW's Augusto Farfus was faster than everybody else today.
So Bart gets his trophy, the team boss there, Bart Manprine.
No doubt that that now Augusto Farfus is very much safe in that second position, with Vittoris and Wickens not scoring, Bruno Spengler as well, Paffett not a particularly good run. So the gap between Farfus and the rest even more now, but not enough to chase down Rockenfeller at that final race in 4 weeks' time. Yeah, a great drive from Timo Scheider and played his part hugely well. Interesting though that Ekstrom came through at the end and did his bit as well. Photos being taken by the incredible throng of press here at Zandvoort, despite being a out of Germany event. And the champagne, the Henkentrocken sprays, and let's hear from Dieter Gas.
Okay, Mr. Gas, congratulations, you're wearing already the right t-shirt. I think it's the 5th title for Audi since 2007. This is going to be a big party tonight.
Yes, I think so. I mean, we haven't prepared anything, but I think really tonight we have really every reason to have a big party.
Have a good one. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much. Interesting to reflect, Ben, that we've still got another race to commentate on yet, and it's the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. And back in 2004, I believe that's the first championship that, or professional championship that Rocky won. And so
he was talking about racing at Croft in 2003 in a Porsche Carrera Cup GB race at the start of the weekend.
Yeah, he won the European Le Mans Series back in 2008. I think that's the last title that he won. This is won Le Mans. In 2010 he won the race, the big race with Romain Dumas and Timo Bernard. And as Yves said, he's won the Nürburgring 24, the Daytona 24 and Le Mans 24.
That's a pretty good combination, isn't it? That's a pretty good combination.
Yeah.
Now he adds DTM to that list here in Zandvoort, and potentially the last time we come to Zandvoort as well.
Well, so we're hearing. I hope that's not the case, because it is a great race venue. Here's the points then. The unassailable 142 that Mike Rockenfeller has. Farfus with 116. Vitoris hanging in there in third, and still a bit of a battle going on for third place in this championship. Vitoris, Wickens, Spengler and Paffett all in that group there. And Ekstrom, what a late race he had today. And now we can go down and hear from Timo Scheider, the man who rode shotgun so well. And back to have him on the podium too.
Former DTM champion 2008 and 2009. Today, finally, in your 135th DTM race, you finished on the podium this season, first time. How does it feel?
Well, it was such a long time since I was here, so finally it's a great feeling after such a difficult season we had. Especially today, supporting Mike that way was something which feels quite awesome. And I have to say, he deserved the championship this season. He was like awesome all over the season, quite consistent. So finally, I have to say, I'm just happy today, celebrating with Mike today for sure.
Congratulations for your third position. Back to you guys.
Yves, some big news just breaking at the moment. And car number 7, the winner, under investigation, safety car restart. It might be over, but maybe it isn't completely over, Ben.
Well, let's hope nothing's done, to be honest. Interesting to note that before this weekend, Timo Scheider had the lap record around the circuit at a 32.9, but that has been eclipsed by a second this weekend in these new generation cars.
Yeah, now we can hear from Augusto, and we need to find out about that safety car restart.
First of all, congratulations, Gustl. It's your third victory, actually, and you're the first time taller than me. Congratulations. How does it feel today? Actually, it's Mike Rockenfeller. Big celebration. He became champion already, but finishing on the top, it wasn't too bad, huh?
Yeah, it has been great. I mean, that was my target from the weekend, to do my very best. And today we did a brilliant job. I won the race, and I could not do anything more than a victory. So well done to Mike. He had a brilliant season, and he became a champion, so hat off for him. But I'm very pleased about my job, very pleased about 2013 season. There is still one race to go, so there is still some points to be taken.
The goal for Hockenheim?
Well, to enjoy the race and try to push as hard as we can. That's the target, and more than that, do my very best, like I always do.
I heard you are under investigation about the safety car. You don't know it yet, but I think for sure there will be nothing, huh?
I didn't even know. I heard about the jump start from Mike, but I haven't heard about my safety car.
For sure, nothing will go on. Back to you guys. Have a celebration.
Thanks, Yves. You seem very sure of that. 2 actual notes from race control. One says car 7 under investigation, safety car restart, and then there's another one a minute later says car number 7, black and white flag, infringement of Article 40.11, and Ben's furiously been trying to look through the technical regulations. We haven't got to it yet. You can only find the German bit, and we're not good enough in German to tell you what that's about.
They gave a black and white flag during the podium ceremony, which is quite interesting.
Now
you get waved.
Look at the Team Phoenix boys who got the beers out.
And the cigars as well, we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And you can hear Terry Grant in the background doing his stunts. Mike Rockenfeller scored his maiden race victory here in Zandvoort.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
In 2011.
I think there's probably T-shirts around with things like champion printed on it. Guys that didn't actually win a championship, they had to be dumped. But yeah, always you know, is it bad luck to print something up like that before it starts? No. So I think Eve is right. There's not going to be any penalty here.
I'd love to see the restart. I'd love to see the start again with Mike Rockenfeller and just see how close he was to jumping the start.
That roof's pretty strong, isn't it?
It doesn't bend, doesn't flex at all.
I seem to remember in the old days, Ben, they used to use the actual roof from the road car.
Yeah, it was the only bit.
Yeah, it was about the only bit they ever used, and I think maybe the window pillars. But now it's an all carbon and Kevlar sandwich there, which is quite a bit stronger. So, Audi. Oh, looking at the points already been printed off. Of course, there is a separate teams championship. That's what they're looking at there.
Yeah, 3 points ahead of Team RBM, so it's going to be tight. That's going to be the race in Hockenheim between Molina and Rockenfeller, and then Farfus and his teammate Joey Hand.
Yeah, that'll be that's how it works. Still the beer is being drawn.
BMW is still leading the Manufacturers' Championship, but Audi will have gotten a good haul of points from that last race with Scheider, Ekstrom, Tombe and Rockenfeller all picking up points. Albuquerque as well, and Paffett managed to get a couple of points for Mercedes as well.
Yeah, but Mercedes have got a lot of thinking to do. Whether it's hurt them only having 6 cars, I'm not sure. Not very many experienced drivers in the squad either. But there are those big cigars. And we can still hear Terry Grant doing his thing, keeping the fans entertained.
And celebrations will continue long into the night.
Yeah.
We've got another 2 weeks before the Hockenheim finale, and then it will be very much Rockenfeller playing the team game, trying to pick up as maximum points for the team's championship, and of course for Audi as well. And they played that so well, Audi did, with Timo Scheider playing shotgun throughout. And then Ekstrom also picking up 4th point ahead of Whitman. Be interesting to find out why Whitman.
Eve switched to German now. She's doing some German interviews now.
Multi-talented.
Bit dangerous getting in amongst those boys when I had a couple of beers, I'd say.
It's only just begun as well.
Her partner's a well-known German racing driver, not in this series, so she's used to racing folk. Nice shot of Rocky. They know how to celebrate these Team Phoenix boys.
And they work very hard as well. They do compete in endurance races and the 24 hours of Spa. They enter an Audi.
Yeah, they're running obviously the R8 GT car there.
They've won that in the past.
I seem to remember when Tomczyk won the championship, he got dumped into a great bucket of water after it was all over.
Gosh. Well, it's not been a particularly hot day here. Still only, well, it's about 17 degrees now. It's got better.
Nice and bright, though. Again, Dr. Ulrich, he's a hard-working man. Because they had changed the management structure at Audi a bit for this year. So they've got Dr. Ulrich at the top of it, but with Dieter Gast in charge of the DTM, and of course another guy in charge of the endurance, answering to the good doctor.
But normally...
And remember, he's not German, he's Austrian. So German team, and of course another Bavarian team. We always think of BMW, Bavarian Motorworks, but Audi and Ingolstadt, another Bavarian team from the south of Germany. And so they build the cars and then they hand them over to the 3 different teams. Rosberg, Phoenix. Oh, there's some of the mechanics here practicing about being TV commentators. Ben, we better watch out. Meanwhile, we're waiting to go to the formal press conference where I think my German's not good enough to know what that was all about, but it's obviously all in good fun and spirits there.
And you can see just how many people it takes to run the DTM team. A really passionate group of motor racing enthusiasts and engineers, mechanics, truckies, all to run 2 cars for Molina and the champion, Mike Rockenfeller, enjoying his champagne shower up on the podium earlier on.
Yeah, I think Team Phoenix got about 26 people dedicated to their DTM program. Of course, they've got the backup from Audi as well. And another shot of joy and elation on the face of this group from the Nürburgring. Don't spit out the beer, mate. And the car, of course, this year they changed. It raced last year as an Audi A5, and this year it's raced as the Audi RS5, which, of course, the high-performance version of the A5. Comes in many iterations, from 2-litre diesels right up to pounding V8 engine. Here's
God, he just went so early.
Yeah,
I'm amazed that was not a jump start. Look at it's absolutely it's just the perfect start.
In drag racing, they have the anticipation, well, they have the actual vector, don't they, of that, how long it takes. And I think that any drag racing driver would have been proud of that.
I think there was quite a heavy dose of luck, to be fair.
I think you're probably right, yeah, because he rebounded horribly.
Yeah, because he dipped the clutch again. Having gone, he then dipped the clutch and then went again, almost nervously.
And
this was this early aggressive lap as he went down the inside of Whitman, who had been aggressive on him in the first few corners, and very, very vital to get ahead in the early stages. And he had the pace on the option tyre. There's no doubt the Audi was better than the BMW. He kept it lasting for longer, and Farfus really struggled before the first stops. But when they then went on the first stops and went onto the prime tyre, the tyre that they've been using in free practice and in qualifying, suddenly the balance swapped very much in BMW's favour. And Rocky just really struggled.
Yeah, and then towards the end, Whitman got beaten up a little bit, didn't he, and dropped to 5th place. But got to say, the young man's done an outstanding job.
Of course, there was this as well.
Yeah, there was that.
Just about getting out ahead of Joey Hand, whilst Augusto Farfus took the lead of the race again. And again, Team Phoenix lucky not to be penalised for that. But the most important thing was getting out in front of Marco Whitman at all points, and that's what they did.
That one wasn't even under investigation,
no,
was it?
No, it wasn't, no.
But just on with Whitman. You know, last year he was the test driver, like Maxime Martin is this year, and didn't get to race much. But as a rookie, he's done an absolutely great job this year.
Beautiful stops, as always, from the Team Phoenix Audi Sport team. And the advantage at that point was even better. Of course, he came out the pits ahead of Marco Whitman, but then Timo Scheider came out the pits ahead of him. And we had to reshuffle the pack.
As you said, just blended off the throttle to allow Rocky to perfectly slot in front of him. But it's great to have Timo Scheider up there again, one of the big personalities of this championship.
And he had the pace. He definitely had the pace.
He had the pace. Whether he could have got any close to Farfus, I don't know.
I think in a cleaner race that was less decisive on the championship, Scheider may well have allowed himself up into second position there. The flag then flies with Augusto Farfus winning the race, but second was enough for Mike Rockenfeller. Interestingly, just doing the maths, Farfus cannot be beaten to second either, so he will stay in second, despite even if he doesn't score any points in Hockenheim.
Ben, great to have you alongside me in the commentary box, and I think you enjoyed it. Great racing, isn't it, the DTM, and just really professional.
Not easy to read, but we did a great job.
Well, we're just about to go to the press conference. So from me, Andrew Marriott, for Ben Constanduris, it's goodbye, and we'll pick up the press conference.
2.
Especially here.